What is Amber Heard sniffing as she testifies on the trial versus Johnny Depp?
Don't you just pull out a tissue and start smelling it?
Yes. Who doesn't just smell their tissues? That's what I know that when I was, in my worst years of drug abuse, I sniffed a lot of tissues.
Because of the tears, right?
Yeah. Okay. So the thumbnail I have already created for this segment is called the Great Amber Heard Cocaine in Court conspiracy.
Beautiful.
I do not believe she's snorting cocaine in the courtroom.
But if she is, you've got to applaud her.
Oh yeah, like just
for
like
having the balls to do that on TV.
I don't think that's what she's doing. I don't know how much you guys know about old Hollywood, but there is an old school trick to being able to get yourself to cry on camera, and that is to put menthol in your fingertips and dab at your eyes.
Oh.
And I think, and they pointed out in this article that I think what she did, because they mentioned that she did not. She did not. I went to 3 camera again. I apologize, Shane.
Okay.
They did not. They did not. She did not take Kleenex from the Kleenex box. She had it in her sleeve. So I think that she had it. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying it seems like a reasonable solution or conclusion that she had. If she's an actor, she knows acting methods that she needs to help get her point across. And what we're really learning is that Johnny Depp is just a better actor.
That's exactly how I feel. Yeah.
Tinfoil bread. Yes,
Did
I
Johnny
knew that they
Depp
would come.
ever cry on the stand?
He didn't have to. He beat him with
He seemed
warmth.
more jolly
and
than
he's
anything.
relatable.
Yeah.
So he beat them in the PR battle. Johnny Depp is winning, and it is like the support for Johnny Depp and the hatred for Amber Heard is, given our discussion that we just had, maybe the most organic thing I've seen in like the last 5 years.
Dude, yes.
People are tired of belligerent lying women.
Yes.
As I said.
So
Clearly, as from our first segment.
And I'm gonna come back to this article. And I said the evidence that I saw of this was this great one where it says Amber Heard's IMDb page reads Amber Turd. So that only happens when somebody like some mad lad on 4chan was like had admin access and managed. It says Amber Heard's name is back to normal on Google search results for IMDb. It's fixed. Amber Heard has pooped amid the Johnny Depp trial, and if not that, her name is certainly, at least according to a Google search, an international movie database itself. So yes, you can see it. They have a screenshot of it right here. It's incredible, and that's the least of the offensive. I do love that they have a picture of it here, and they blotch it out. That's not a dog. It wasn't a dog. So we'll go back to what they were talking about here.
If Amber needs a reason to cry, is everyone hating her not enough?
I think what this will, if she's going to look at this positively in the future, it's that any guy she ends up with will have to love her for her and not for.
That's
She's been
such
exposed.
a positive spin on the situation.
She listens to you.
Must be.
Send her a message.
Must be.
Yeah.
Hey, girl.
Yeah.
Should we tell her to wear something else?
Yes. Wear a long sleeve shirt.
Don't
Yes.
do drugs in court.
So it says nevertheless, fans around the world found a video of Heard. I think they made Heard sniffing a tissue in a non-conventional way on social media. Users started making their own wild assumptions and creating theories as to what made the video go viral. So they do have it. I don't know if you guys are listening. You won't be able to see this, but I'm going to play the clip right here because this is a Twitter thing, and it's literally here. She goes. I think it clears the nasal passages to use menthol like that. I don't think she was snorting cocaine. I do also love people pointing out they think she's posing, like that she's holding the pose, like take a picture of me.
Yeah, you could see her eyes move downwards to where she could see people taking pictures.
And I told you last week, like notice her specific, because when there's the lawyer cam, like you get the side perspective from her, and she's always like,
yep.
She's looking directly at you.
Also,
guys.
how do they know it's cocaine? It could be heroin. Who knows?
Okay, well,
We need a drug test.
Can you snort that?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Many social media users believe Heard is sniffing cocaine during the trial. However, that is not the case. It says, analyzing the video, we see Heard with a tissue on her hands. She didn't take the tissue from the box. However, we'll analyze that situation later in the article. Heard sniffs something from the tissue. The zoom image makes it obvious. Nevertheless, it is not probable that she's sniffing cocaine, as rabid Twitter users point out. There is a harsh penalties for consuming or carrying drugs in a courtroom, and the security teams make sure you don't carry any illegal substances. It says, what is it then? It says, in the second video, we see Heard doesn't take any tissue. Forget about these images below showing she's sniffing the tissue. Concentrate on the box and her sleeves. It seems Amber Heard takes the tissue from her sleeve and she rolls her left sleeve with much more caution than she rolls up her right one. So this is, I mean, they pay jury consultants, image consultants, millions of dollars to make you look the most, whether right down to the color of clothes you wear on any given day, to make you look the best you can possibly look in court. And she's going to have to hire what was the scandal, the Olivia Pope of trial consultants, or that show Bull on CBS with Michael Weatherly, who's also canceled. Right. Menthol is the secret weapon to cry on TV. When Anna Faris visited The Late Show with James Corden, she said, "Crying sucks. For actors and actresses, crying represents a real challenge. Sometimes it's not natural to cry on set and in front of cameras." She showed that there's a crying stick that helps her cry when she has a sad scene. It's a lot of times why you see scenes with like single tear, because that's all it can get out of you is the single tear. There's a menthol crystal she describes while holding the object. It's kind of like Vicks Vapor Rub. So she has done that, and she goes and snorts the so it's because it's mentholated. It's not powder. It's a liquid.
I don't understand why the real situation is not upsetting enough for her to muster up a few tears.
Because she's fake.
Like, the real situation is looking pretty bad for her.
Well, one of the interesting things about this is drug use can sometimes mask that. If you're using chemicals, it will mask your ability to cry because you're not in a naturally, your mood is either sufficiently elevated or depressed based on chemicals, which makes access to your actual emotional well-being and your emotional center very, very difficult to find. There was like, one of the things about going through rehab was like, you actually, like, after you get clean, you process like years of trauma or not, I guess if not trauma, bad things that happened to you. You process years of it all at once because you've had no access to those feelings. Yeah. You feel like you've just woken up. So it's possible that if that's the case, she might not be able to cry if she actually is using, but I don't know that for sure. But it says, and then Johnny Depp's fans are mocking her for saying that she's fake crying and like doing it poorly. It says, Johnny
dog stepped on a bee.
Here's what I'm scared of, dude. Like, he genuinely has people wrapped around his fingers, present party included.
You should not trust him any more than you should trust her.
Yep.
In my opinion, her behavior is objectively awful, but I'm wary of anyone who looks too good in any situation.
Right.
Like,
and
I ask
two
questions.
Actors. Yeah, it's anything with two actors involved.
It would be hilarious if this really was a simulation. After this, he gets an Oscar. Like, they give him an award, and this was all just like a huge psyop.
Yes.
Back tinfoil.
Perfect.
Tinfoil.
Perfect.
Tinfoil. It's all a psyop to keep people distracted from whatever's going on. Like, seriously, if America ever wanted proof that they're bad, it's not all of the CIA stuff in foreign countries. It's not the fact that we don't treat vets very well. It's the fact that everybody cared and disconnected from family members over Ukraine like a month ago, and then a week later Will Smith smacked someone, and now Amber Heard is not able to cry at trial, and all of a sudden Ukraine doesn't matter, Russia doesn't matter, and we have the attention span of gnats.
Here's the new current thing that you are supposed to talk about and care about,
and
now.
Unfortunately we feed into that just by doing
and
this.
We're doing it right
We're
now.
feeding into it. So I am not.
Are we the problem?
But we'll take this.
Am I the bad guy?
But we'll take this chance to say the problem. The problem also is, like, they should have been live streaming the Epstein, the Ghislaine Maxwell
A lot of people
trial.
keep pointing out that they didn't.
Why was that not?
Because then we could all be
televised?
talking about that in such a deep detail. We talk about the list and all these things, but we didn't get to talk about that because they didn't give it to us, because they want us to talk about this silly stuff instead.
Yep, and that's like they point you where to go. And you go there, and that's the problem with all this. I do think it says public continues to turn on Heard as resurfaced video contradicts her testimony. I think this is much ado about nothing in the way this is phrased, but they talk about how it says, however, thanks to her testimony on the stand this week in trial, her new PR team is now facing an even bigger uphill battle after firing her old one. Well, a TikTok video of people throwing gifts at Johnny Depp as he exited the courthouse parked. So he got a bunch of stuff thrown at him, like gifts by people. Like, that's creepy. That's creepy too. Support him or not, that's weird.
It's creepy. Dane's like, that was me.
They're gonna hit him in the head with a muffin basket.
Maybe that's so it says. I
mean, it's a bunch of poop.
You should send like bed sheets. No, just new bed sheets. This week, when asked if she knew Johnny Depp before meeting him on the set of the film The Rum Diary, Heard replied, "I knew who he was. I wasn't familiar. I wasn't a fan of his work. I wasn't familiar with him." That's like
Yeah,
that's
right.
not really it's like saying I didn't know who
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't know who George Clooney was, or I didn't
Right.
know who Brad Pitt. You're lying.
Yeah.
It's like when they're picking the jury for the Black China versus
Yeah.
Kardashian.
Do you know who Kim Kardashian
thing.
is? And they're like,
never heard of her.
I've certainly never seen that tape. What? What was the question? It says in the viral TikTok video, Heard was asked in October of 2011 in a 2011 interview promoting the film she was a fan if she was a fan of Depp 22 years her senior while growing up. I mean, who isn't a fan of Johnny's? That's a given, she replied. He's been a cultural icon and a talented actor for since I can remember. That could just be PR. But I also don't buy that you didn't know that you weren't familiar with him beforehand. I think there's like both this and the fact that they said she was quoting movies,
Yes.
but are kind of much ado about nothing. But it just proves that she's not a very good actress.
No,
And
but it's
Why
just like
is no one helping her craft her narrative? She
Uh,
needs better lawyers.
maybe Depp like
Right here.
paid them all
And
off.
you.
Right here.
seriously.
Hire Dane.
I think her problem is that she comes from a culture of Hollywood that's a regurgitation machine. All they do is regurgitate things because there's no new ideas in Hollywood, and she has been paid to regurgitate. So she might not even be conscious of the fact that she's regurgitating these things, but that's her whole culture is regurgitating.
No, the problem's deeper, my friend. The problem is that she is stunning, and I'm sure she's been stunning her. She's beautiful.
What?
She's been stunning
I
her whole
disagree.
life. Okay, well,
Disagree.
you're a statistical anomaly. Anyway,
Really? I don't. I
Amber
honestly,
Heard?
I have never once thought.
He
she
thinks
was
Brie
attractive.
Larson is
She's
attractive.
beautiful.
These are
Also-
also pictures of her at her lowest.
Yes.
So
Right.
No,
No,
but I've
if
seen-
she's
I've
still
watched The Rum
attractive,
Diary.
well-
I've seen her in things. I just don't. I haven't heard that.
listen.
yet.
She also contributed to the ginger side by playing
Yeah.
a redhead in Aquaman, which, as
By
far
the
as I'm
way,
concerned,
named Mira,
Na-
aka Miralax.
No, but let me finish my
But,
point.
so
very
sorry,
quickly.
she's stunning.
She's stunning, and so you can be stunning at some points of your life. If you've been stunning your whole life, you've never had a point in your life where you've needed something else to make up for it. You know, beautiful people that are just beautiful, they're not funny. How do you work the funny bone? When do you get it? When you're being so pretty, you don't get it.
that's that's the evolution. That women don't need to be funny because evolutionarily speaking,
I'm not saying
they
women.
Don't,
I'm saying there's some beautiful dudes that aren't funny either, and it's just like you're talking to a
Yeah.
brick wall. Like personality.
it wasn't necessary for her to be beautiful or to be funny because she's beautiful.
Correct. Like-
And yeah,
like personality. Like it comes through fire, you know.
Yeah.
It comes through like awkward moments where you just need to get something more out of it, you know.
I actually kind of agree more with Shane in the sense that I think that the context is more that she's part of a regurgitated culture of like back in the day you quoted books from classics. Now she's never read the classics. She's just seen The Talented Mr. Ripley, and that stuck. Like sometimes you'll like say a phrase and you don't remember where it came from, but you know you've heard it somewhere, and it's usually from some form of media that you've seen before. And I think that's what happened here. Like she's reaching for something that sounds meaningful. And all her meaningful experiences have happened to her in the context of seeing them in movies because she hasn't lived in a world where she's need to see meaningful.
Or imitating
Like who-
Yes.
meaningful
Who
experiences.
confronts you when they want something like that? Like if you're the money guy, if you're the pretty girl, like who confronts you?
I think this is a little bit of both. Like, yes, she's totally been able to skate by on her looks and also just being like moderately intelligent where she can like speak and like say sentences that make sense and sound good.
She
God,
can't
the
write-
bar is
she-
low.
Like,
can't
She
write.
can
she's not she, like, but like really
No.
compared to like the rest of the population, I'm sure she's like better at crafting sentences than everyone else.
She can't write a
Yeah.
good op-ed,
And,
but she can
uh,
certainly hire someone to do so.
and she has been like also trained to just imitate constantly and regurgitate.
But this is
experiences
what
constantly.
Brett was saying earlier about watching how much of a better actor Depp is. Is like I also I'm like wow Depp, wow, you're winning in my mind, right?
Yeah,
But he's just a more authentic actor, and sometimes when she is on that, when she's testifying, I can see like a bigger Amber Heard behind her with puppet strings, right?
Because she has a need. She doesn't need to convey honesty. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
she can't convey honesty because her honesty bone like hasn't
Doesn't
been
exist.
flexed. That's what.
Doesn't
It
exist.
doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
She like power comes in response to a need, not a desire. Like she's never had the need for it.
Right.
That was
That's
a
a
Dragon
shame.
Ball Z quote for all the fans
I
out
got it.
there. What's
nice,
up?
nice.
Or she hasn't been tested on it until now.
A good actor doesn't need to be cut around in a movie. A beautiful woman who's not a good actor can still be used and edited around to make look better than they are.
Right.
I mean, male or female. Like you can be
Yeah.
you can be a below average actor, and they can cut around your flaws,
Right.
and make you look much better
It's like
than you
using
are.
auto-tune in the studio.
Yes, here there is none of that advantage, and she's learning firsthand that, like, she wouldn't make a good transition to the stage.
Which is why
Movie to stage, she wouldn't be
Which
able
is
to.
why it's so important to have a healthy court system to do these types of things where you can see if someone's being authentic or not, or judge it. Because in the court of public opinion, where she can write an op-ed that then trends, that she can skate by on the false pretenses.
And she
of
didn't
her
even write the
BS.
op-ed.
Oh, she didn't even write
No,
the op-ed?
she worked with an ACLU lawyer to write
Oh,
the op-ed.
right,
That's
right.
even worse.
That's so good.
Like I
These
said,
people.
she's not even talented enough to string together great sentences. She's just talented enough to hire someone to do it for her. It's kind of like Floyd Mayweather. Can't read.
I think she's
Well,
all
that's what
about
50 Cent says.
memory and repetition.
Yeah, I think she's having
Yeah.
truly like an awakening moment where she's like looking at herself in the mirror, like truly, like she's like, God
And
damn.
you know what? If she,
I don't believe
will
there's an
bestow
ounce of-
redemption upon her in the society. Like if we can see that she's changed and learned something, like that's good for her. Then I'm
I-
not going to continue to.
Comes to
disparage
pop
her.
culture crisis, we'll redeem you.
We're here.
I don't believe there's
We're
an
here,
ounce
yeah.
of introspection going on there.
I
That's
don't,
mean-
I don't either, but I'd like to
with-
think there,
I think
there
so.
is.
A
With
little.
like a condition like hers, it can seem like she's getting like controlled from the inside, but like the only thing that could allow her to change is like a moral turnaround.
Like
that's
this?
it.
Like tweeting
And
the
it-
Pope.
Well, I mean, that's better than nothing.
Or it didn't
Okay, sure.
work.
Like, it's just like, but this is a person who has no moral compass and no structure, no
Right.
authority.
Imagine if she just fires a PR team and she just shows up as
She
herself.
doesn't even have people working
Like-
for her that speak up
Clearly,
to her. and
terrible people with her. Her team
so
stinks.
her mental conditions are just going to completely control her life and
Do we
other
believe
people around her.
in the mental conditions, or is that just being used by her and her team?
I do
to make
believe
her
she's
seem-
mentally ill. Yeah.
Well, the conditions that everyone's talking about weren't diagnosed by her team. They were diagnosed by his team. Says DID, or not DID, histrionic personality disorder and
Borderline
personality disorder. Whereas her team says PTSD, and so you
But
know.
the PTSD thing is like because she was abused by Johnny Depp.
It was like,
But, like,
every time I hit him, my hand hurts so bad. She said.
Like a personality disorder
much that
is
bed
from
stunk?
like
Yeah.
your upbringing, your experiences,
Past
and your
traumas.
formative years
Right.
making you a certain way.
Right. Not after you've been fed through the Hollywood machine and then married to one of the biggest megastar.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always possible. I don't know anything
True.
about her upbringing.
Right.
I think it's likely though, just from like hearing the recordings, how she interacts,
Yeah.
and
No, I
like,
think she was
what
growing in
her
the test tube in a Disney lab.
fears
like
are.
the rest
She
of
may have
them.
been.
I don't know.
No, well, and we'll see where this goes, but I just think there's a lot more to be said about the fact that he's charming people just as much as she's not charming people, and that scares me
Yep.
because I don't want either of them to be given more power than they deserve for a situation that, for the most part, should just be kept private. Like all this stuff should never have been aired out in court, anyways.
And that's our legal system, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like.
But it
the
does.
jury.
It will have some interesting consequences, though.
Yeah.
You know, seeing how this plays out, because it is as vapid as it might seem to be watching these people squabble.
It's a sign of where culture is moving towards,
Yeah.
or how things are changing. I do think
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of things recently that say, as much as I hate to even try and say stuff like this, a lot of people talk about culture turning around or the pendulum swinging back the other way.
right.
I've seen more instances of that lately than I have before. Like, I'm more convinced that that's happening now than I have in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But that could also just be because I'm even more tuned into it than I normally would be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.